Not one or two, but a slew of government voices have once again talked about the idea of creating a bad bank to resolve the bad loans problem. But will the government make good on the bad bank idea anytime soon? CNBC TV 18's Ritu Singh reports on the same.
The idea of floating a bad bank is back on the table. It may not have found a mention in the finance minister's budget speech, but the economic survey suggested it as one of the key measures to rescue banks that are struggling with the high non-performing assets. The survey wanted a government-sponsored asset reconstruction company that will be capitalized by taking 4 lakh crore rupees from the Reserve Bank's capital. Former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan had opposed the idea. But with the bad loan problem getting larger, the government does not rule out its possibility.
Bad bank is very similar to a asset reconstruction company, except that it's run by the government. Now, I'm not saying it's a very good proposal, but you've just expanded, allowed FDI, liberalized the whole ARC business. Let us experiment this solution. The bad bank suggestion is on the table. The fact that it's not mentioned in my budget speech doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense to us, but it's very much a subject on the agenda.
Question was asked of Larry Summers, whether India should do it or not and should it wait. And he said that there was not a single case around the world when people did this and then looked back and said that, oh, gee, we did it too early.
Okay.
So
you're saying we should have done it yesterday?
We should certainly do it tomorrow.
We should certainly do it tomorrow. The question is, are we doing it tomorrow or not, Mr. Panagaria?
So the idea is very much on the table, but I think there is still a need to think through exactly in what form one does it.
I think the time for discussion may be over. I think that it's now time to take and move forward on that with speed. Now, whether you want to do it in terms of an all-embracing asset reconstruction company, or you want to really do it in the form which the economic survey hints at, are issues on which I think that we need to arrive at a decision more carefully.
This government is very open to ideas, very sensitive to what would be a better way rather than imposing what we think is best.
Okay.
And I think once this public debate comes up with the most robust solution to this problem.
Is there a timeline, sir?
ASAP.
ASAP. So a discussion on para ASAP.
Should be held ASAP.
Things have gotten worse. The gross non-performing assets reported by banks in the first half of this fiscal stood at 9.1% of the total advances, touching a staggering 6.7 trillion rupees. Of these, almost 80% were from the public sector banks. Meanwhile, various tools given to banks to deal with the problem of bad loans have yet to yield results, though some deals may fructify. The Secretary, Department of Financial Services, is of the view that measures taken by the government recently should prove helpful.
So at some stage, we would take a look at whether the ARC sector is well populated, is competitively populated in the private sector, and whether there is a need. It's going to be one of the factors that will be also considered at the time of taking any decision on a bad bank in the public sector.
Are we anywhere close to a finalization, a decision of some sort?
Wouldn't like to put a timeline on this because there are market conditions to be considered. There is a need to see what is happening in that particular segment, what is really required, and what the competing demands on government's resources are at any point of time.
In summary, the creation of a bad bank may be under discussion, but the government does not seem to be in a tearing hurry to implement it. The existing schemes may be given a chance before a new institution is set up to deal with NPAs. Even if it were to become a reality, it would come with its own set of challenges, like avoiding excessive government interference, figuring out the right value for assets, and reaching an agreement with banks on price differentials. In Mumbai, Ritu Singh.